bowl week is going so far and preparations for the game.
Okay. Well, first we'd like to say thanks to the Peach Bowl committee and the city of Atlanta. This is obviously the history of this bowl game. And the folks that cover Auburn understand this. This is 38 years, so I've been here before. I actually coached in this game when it was in the old Braves Fulton County Stadium. So the history of this bowl is special. We're excited about being here, of course, with the opponent we have, the undefeated Central Florida team that is a very, very good football team. We're excited about the opportunity to have to go and compete against a great football team.
All right, thanks, Coach. Tre, for your opening statement, I would love to get your thoughts on the MLK visit last night, what that experience was like for you.
Oh man, it was very inspirational. It was crazy just learning from it back in grade school, middle school, high school, things like that, and just reading from it, from a book and everything, and having teachers teach about it. But it's very different to actually hear the true experience of people who actually dealt with it, who actually put up with it, and actually made a change in the world. So, that admired a lot of us, and it made us look into ourselves to see how can we make a difference in our community, by playing football or, even how we treat people on a daily basis.
Yep. Well said. Thanks for that. Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone. All right, somebody's got to be first. Let's go, guys. All right, over here on the left, third row, please.
Yeah, for Coach Steele, obviously you've coached in the state of Florida. You know the type of talent and speed that's in the state of Florida. Are you surprised that UCF has been able to rise like it has, being a non-Power 5 team?
No, not at all. I mean, the high school talent in the state of Florida, the high school coaching, the availability to athletes in terms of particularly in the skilled area, the defensive backs, wide receivers, running backs, a lot of speed in the state. So not at all. And I mean, Coach O'Leary did a great job, went to the Fiesta Bowl. And so when Scott came in, everybody knew there was talent at Central Florida. And so he's put a good staff together, and the product is come to fruition in a big way. So no, not surprised at all.
All right, where are we going next, guys? All right, right here in the middle, fourth row.
Christian Brewy, WFTV. Coach Steele, what are your thoughts just on Mackenzie Milton, and when you watch the film, what is it that he does that has led to his success this season?
Well, obviously, there's guys that play the game in terms of the system.
Sorry about that. Don't know what happened there. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
I know him. He didn't know where the on and off switch is, so just bear with him. He's a guy that has ability because of his athleticism and just the moxie that he has in the way he plays the game to keep it and extend plays and kind of make the second half of a play. He can turn plays that you look like is stopped and into the second half of the play kind of, and I say this in a positive way, not a negative way, almost like you used to play games back in the backyard with kids and running around in a touch football game where you could just run around and make plays. He's one of those guys that if you play touch football in the backyard, which I don't know if kids do that. Y'all still do that? We used to do that. He's one of those guys that at the end of the day, he's the guy that nobody can get on the ground. Is always making plays.
Tre, how are you at backyard touch football?
I ain't that fast, so I just let everybody else run the ball. I just try to make all the tackles.
All right, keep working hard, buddy. We'll get you there. All right, where are we going next, guys? Okay, back here in the second row here, Josh.
Josh Payne from AL.com. Coach, you mentioned the speed that Central Florida has. They've scored a ton of points. How do you go about neutralizing their speed?
Well, the game's about us. Obviously, everybody we played had 11 guys on the field. They lined up in a formation. We had motions and shifts, and the field's the same width, same length every game. It's about our execution, our focus, and doing the things that we're required to do. Be where you're supposed to be. We're not going to ask anybody. There's no defense we have where we're going to ask guys to take 2 gaps. We're not going to ask guys to cover 2 men. We're not going to ask guys to be responsible for 2 zones. So just do your job and execute. And so that's really what it boils down to. It's about us.
All right, next question. Raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone, please. Okay, right over here, 4th row again.
Christian Brewy, WFTV. Tre, for you, this is the UCF team, doesn't give up a lot of sacks. You guys are good at sacking the quarterback. What has shown up on film, and how do you plan to attack their offensive line?
I mean, like Coach Steele said, it's all about us and how we execute. Coach Steele going to put us in the right position, and it's just our job to do our job. We had a lot of success, like you said, with the D-line. We have a great defensive lineman, and we depend on them every play, and they always do their job, and we just here to back them up.
Okay, we're going to go over here, 3rd row, far left.
Yeah, for Tre, obviously you guys have seen the comments made by Adrian Killens about the SEC hasn't seen the speed that UCF has. How taken aback were you with those comments, and was that maybe something to wake you guys up after losing in the SEC championship game?
No, not really. We don't really pay attention to anything said in the media. We just focus on preparation, doing our job, and we know what we have, we know what we can do. So we're just going to prepare for the game, and during it, like I said, Coach Steele going to put us in the right position, and we're going to make the play.
All right, sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
For Coach Steele, he says they don't pay attention to it, but you coaches have a way of reminding
They're
players.
coachable. They're coachable.
Is that something you would use in a bulletin board type setting?
No.
You guys still have bulletin boards?
No, no, we don't. We text them, and I actually have somebody do it for me, but that's another story. No, it's in this day and age with social media, and we're so equipped. There's a lot of things out there about everything. Some of it you don't even know if it's true or not. And so we're conditioned now. The whole process is built to focus on our job, our responsibility, what we control, and the external factors, the distractions, whatever they may be. We spend a lot of time on making sure that does not get into the meeting room, the practice field, the locker room. And so it's not really that hard anymore in terms of trying to keep everybody focused that way. They're pretty coachable that way.
All right, next question. All right, right here in the front row, far right, Coach.
This is Jason Caldwell inside the Auburn Tigers for Tre. We hear all the time, Coach Steele talks about it all the time about focusing on yourself. How much has that helped the last couple of years, knowing that, hey, it's just about what you guys do and kind of handling what you can control?
When you try to put too much focus on the other team or any opponent you playing, you don't really get the opportunity to do your job the best way you can. So as soon as Coach Steele got here, that's the first thing he put in, like, focus on yourselves, like, focus on your technique, your job, and just the defense in general, like everybody's execution, and you'll be fine. If you start focusing on what your opponent doing, then you'll get out your gap or your technique won't be right and things like that. So, he emphasized that every day. Just do your job and focus on yourself, and we'll be all right.
Okay, we're going to go all the way back here in the back.
Christina Chambers, WBRC in Birmingham. Coach, you say you have someone text the players. Are you tech savvy?
I am, but I wouldn't say compared to Tre, no, I'm not. I can get the message across if I need to. But yes, I just normally hand it. I got a little guy that's been with me at a couple of stops. I just hand it to him, sitting beside me, and say, hey, text Tre and tell him this. So, but I can do it if I need to. I don't really want to talk about that because if my wife figures out that I'm tech savvy, then she'll start texting me and we won't go there.
She's not going to hear it from us, Coach, I promise. All right, next question. Raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone. Okay, back here, fourth row middle.
Christian Brewy for Coach Steele. Coach Frost talked about the size differential in running backs. Obviously, you guys see Kerryon Johnson in practice. What stands out other than, hey, these guys are a little smaller than what you guys see on a daily basis, speed-wise, and with the offense that UCF runs?
Well, obviously, the spread offense is everywhere now. We see it on the practice field. There's little nuances. This is obviously is more the Chip Kelly Oregon style, but there's a lot of similarities in that. In terms of the players, they come in all shapes and sizes. I mean, in the course of a year, you're going to see every kind of running back from small, quick to big, powerful. And so it's built. There's certain things that make it a little more difficult with different guys. And obviously we're well aware of that, the quickness and the ability to make people miss in a very close area. But it still comes back to applying technique and being responsible and accountable to your job. You can't just get into defending one guy. There's a lot of space out there.
All right, time for a few more. Where are we going next? Okay, second row right here. Adrian?
This is Adrian Beecher with Skyboat.com for Coach. You guys were one win away from playing in the college football playoff semifinal. Has there been any let up at all in the team from being disappointed and not getting that opportunity? And how hard is it to make that transition when you have that right in your sights to then transition into getting focused to play for a big marquee game like the Peach Bowl?
Well, I think externally, and I want to get into a lecture about philosophy on that, but the playoffs has changed the external mentality. So the fans, maybe the media, I don't know that, you have to speak for yourself. All the shift goes, if you don't make the Final Four, then it's a bad year, or you didn't accomplish what you. And that's not the way it's built internally. It's one game at a time, one play at a time. Play like a champion, be the best you can be on the next play. If the game doesn't work out, then you go the next week and do it again. There's a lot of things this team can accomplish. I mean, all the way, I could give you a litany of them, of a list of things. For an example, we have the opportunity to win 11 games. That'll be the 7th time in the history of the school. These guys have an opportunity to I think, in the history of college football, we have an opportunity to beat 3 9-0 or better teams in the same year. I don't think that's ever been done. And so there's a lot of positives. But what it really boils down to is when you're dealing with guys that are highly competitive and are committed to excellence and committed to the process of being the best they can be every play, the work ethic and the challenge of being the best you can be internally is controlled by that. Not what bowl game you're in, or you're in the playoffs, you didn't win the SEC championship. That's not how it's built. And so it's a drastic difference from what is viewed externally and what happens internally.
All right. Back over here, third row, far left.
Yeah, Coach, did you know Scott Frost when you coached at Nebraska, and what did you learn under Tom Osborne at Nebraska?
I did know Scott. We recruited Scott when I was there. We had, I think Tommy was the quarterback at that time, Frazier, and he was a young quarterback. Scott went to Stanford, was there, I think, 1 year, and then came back home. Scott's dad, mom, both coaches in Nebraska. So, yes, I did know him, and then when he came back, I was still there. So, yes, I did know him. Coach Osborne, we don't have enough time. It's more of a book than a press conference on what you learned from Coach Osborne. There was not a day that went by that you didn't learn something from Coach. Unbelievable man, great teacher, but I think probably the biggest thing was he had an uncanny ability to make every person in the room every day, every time he saw you, feel like you were the most important person in the world. And that brings the best out of people. A very uplifting guy.
Your experience so far in Bowl Week, and specifically for the battle for Bowl Week. How is that for you guys, and what happened at Andretti, Deshaun? You guys came up a little short there.
I think I was cheated personally in my race, but I mean, we had a great experience at the Bowl so far. It's been a lot of competition. They told us when we first got here 6 out of the 7 times that they've been doing the competition. The team has won, so that's something that really stood out to us. So we're not taking these competitions lightly, but this is a game that we're really prepared for. We're really juiced up about. A lot of buzz has been going around that this is a game that we're probably not going to get up for, but we got a lot to play for. Our 11th win, send the seniors out on the right note. They mentioned to us that we'll be the first team in college football to beat 3 9-0 teams that were undefeated. So, that's something that we're looking forward to also. But like I said, we had a great experience here, and just ready to play the game now.
All right, thanks. Tre, you guys came storming back in the basketball competition last night to tie it up at 1-1. And like Deshaun said, the winner of the Battle for Bowl Week has won the bowl game 6 out of 7 times. So talk about, was that important to your momentum for this week?
Oh, yeah, it was very important. We got the dub yesterday. We had to get things back on track. So I'm very pleased with the team's effort yesterday. And I think we have a few more things we have to do. And hopefully we can finish the thing off right and get the W in all the columns and win the game. So that's our mindset, to compete on everything we do and then finish it off Monday.
Got it. Dontavius, talk about your experience at the Martin Luther King Center yesterday and what that meant and what type of bowl week experience that was for your team.
I think it was real beneficial for our team to be able to go and see where a lot of things started as far as, especially for us, we wouldn't be able to play in the situation that we're in without their influence. And being able to meet those different type of movers and shakers and actually in person and shake their hands, I feel like it was real beneficial for the people because it's all our history, like they were saying earlier, and I just feel like it was real important to be able to for all of us to see that.
All right, thanks. And Stephen, what about you? What did you take away from the Martin Luther King visit last night?
I took away the leadership that the guys told us, and that's one thing our coaches built us on is leadership. And to hear from them guys, different strategies of leadership was big for me, in my standpoint. For my group of guys that hear leadership as well, it's been big for us. They taught us about, just how you don't have to be a vocal leader. You can be, a leader that's all about action. And so, just different leaderships that we kind of use. So.
All right, thanks for that. Okay, we'll go ahead and jump into questions. Again, please raise your hand. We'll get you a microphone, and we'll take questions for the 4 players. All right, Josh right here. Oh, I'm sorry, we'll go here, and then we'll go to Josh right here, far left, guys.
Yeah, for Deshaun, you said you guys are really pumped up for this game, but immediately after the SEC championship game loss, did the senior leaders or the leadership of the team have to sort of give everybody a pep talk and say we still have something to play for? How did that work?
Oh, yeah, that was definitely one of the things that we had to do. Of course, we took a tough loss in the SEC championship, and we knew that it was an opportunity to play for, the playoffs and potentially a national championship. So it was definitely a slump that we had to get over. But us as leaders, I feel like we did a great job to what we did. We let our team be sad for a minute, let them get the taste in their mouth. So, the guys that come back next year, they know how I feel. But at the same time, we knew we had a game to play, and if we were to come out and say UCF, wouldn't care. They'd still come out and try to, step on our throat, and we knew that. So it was definitely a thing that we had to get our team back pumped up. But ever since we've been having practices, we had great practices, had great energy. We're actually flying around to the ball, offensive making plays, and I feel like we're ready to play, so we'll see Monday.
All right, Nate, we're going to go second row right here on the aisle.
For everybody, but Deshaun, to follow up on that, what are you most excited about with this game, and how do you get yourself excited, despite what he said that you guys missed out on the playoff?
I really don't think it's really much excitement. I think it's just us going out, just doing our job as a team. I think they're going to give our all, like they said. They're a very explosive offense. They can move the ball really well. So, I mean, just us to come out as a team, as a defense, and play is our main goal. We take every game important, so it's one thing we're built on.
Trey? That was for everybody, right?
Can you repeat the question?
What are you most excited about in the game, and how do you get yourself up for the game, knowing how close you guys were to the college football playoff?
I think everyone is always excited for the next opportunity to play and go out and perform. So I don't really think it was much of a having to get ourselves ready to play in this game, because I feel like we're prepared to play in the next game. But I just think, like I said, whenever you're able to go out and play again, you always want to perform well. So that's how I think at least for myself, how I get ready to play in each game.
Just picking back off of what they said, it's not hard to get up for any kind of game when you're playing college football, especially in our shoes and how our coaches are. Coach Steele always says, it doesn't matter who we play, when we play, where we play. We're always going to get after it, and that's our mindset. It doesn't matter if we're playing a middle school team. We're going to be ready to play and have a lot of fun out there. So that's just our mindset in general.
All right, where are we going next? Over here. Fourth row in the middle, please.
Christian Brewer, WFTV. Deshaun, you guys have talked about the motivation and that. Does it help when there's the numbers out there of, hey, number one in the offense and scoring, they're undefeated? Does that help to motivate?
I mean, it does, but at the same time, it doesn't. And I say that because, when you see all those statistics and you see all those numbers, like number one offense, and they're scoring these many points or these many yards, and it's kind of a challenge. You accept it as a challenge, but like those guys say, man, at Auburn, especially on defense, we have a standard that we play to, and no matter who we playing, what their numbers are, we have execution-wise a goal that we set, each and every game that we want to reach. So, like I say, those numbers, they kind of give you motivation, but at the end of the day, we're going to be who we are no matter who we play.
For Dontavius, there's been a little bit of talk from their running back, Adrian Killens, talking about that Auburn hasn't seen the speed that he brings. Did you see that, and what were your thoughts on some of the things that the UCF players have said coming into this?
Oh, yeah, I saw it, but it's not really something that we overly thought about, and I just think that everybody's going to have their opinion, and they're welcome to it, But for us, it's, we have played teams with speed, and we also have speed of our own on our own team. So I don't really think it's anything that we really thought about after we saw those comments.
All right, next question. Raise your hand. Okay, over here on the far left. Doug?
Just for anybody, what makes UCF's offense so good? Is it the speed? Is it concepts? Are the concepts unique to anything you've seen before?
Deshaun, start with you.
Yeah, I can answer that. I can say their concept is very unique. I know in the running game they do a lot of misdirections. They do a lot of things to kind of get your eyes wandering and to get their speed to the edge. And they really do have some fast guys, but I think their concept is kind of what gives you a problem. And even in the passing game, they do a lot of switch routes and things in the secondary to try to get your eyes also, try to get you tangled up looking at one guy when they really want to hit another one. And their coach do a really good job at he run concepts to attack the holes that you have in your defense. He's a very smart offensive coordinator. And me just watching film, I respect their game and I respect his mindset as a coach. So we know we have a challenge in front of us, and it's a challenge that we've accepted. And I feel like we're prepared.
Trey?
They do a lot of unique things on the as far as receiver. Like Deshaun said, they do a lot of pick routes. Our eyes got to be on point, got to be, in the right spot, and they do a lot of rub routes where you know, you have to be in a lot of combo situations where you have to trade off man, and they just have a lot of speed. And the quarterback is definitely a dynamic player. You know, he's kind of a small guy, but I mean, he plays like he's, you know, a big guy, 6'3", and he has a great arm. He's elusive, so we have to contain him and keep him in the pocket for the most part.
I think the offense plays to their strengths, you know, and that's what everybody tries to do. And and I think we'll have to do the same, like play to our strength and see just how the game goes. And that's just one of the main thing I think about it.
All right, Stephen?
Yeah, like Trey was saying, they like offense, they're very explosive. Especially from a receiver standpoint, they have a lot of route concepts that that's very new. But I think that it's nothing we have seen before as a secondary. So I think that's that's one thing we took serious this week. You know, we take it serious every week. You know, just doing our job and just executing. So that's one thing that our defensive coordinator, Coach Steele, told us. Always tell us, do your job. It don't matter what time you play, when you play, who you play, just do your job. So.
All right, time for one or two more. Where are we going to go next? Okay, all the way up here in the front.
Jason Caldwell, inside the Auburn Tigers. Don Tavis, you probably answered this question a bunch on the other side, but just kind of talk about your decision to come back for your fifth year and kind of what went into that for you.
For me, the narrative of college football is always you're a student athlete first, and I didn't want that narrative to change with my given success and how I've played at Auburn. So one of the most important things for me is to complete my degree, and that's something that I really wanted to do. So the only way that I can do that now, and you got to think which reward comes first, and I think the degree is what comes first, and that's what I'm trying to accomplish with coming back.
All right.